Tuesday, August 27th, 6:30 p.m. This is a regular meeting of the Catalina Foothills School District Governing Board. On behalf of the Governing Board, I want to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. Members of the public are attending both in person and remotely through YouTube Live. In a few minutes, I'm going to read the full rules of order for public comment at Governing Board meetings. If you wish to make a comment remotely, and I see that we do have one commenter online here tonight, you should have already signed up using the Google form that's available under the YouTube Live description. If you don't see the link to the Google form, you can refresh the YouTube Live stream. If you're attending in person and you'd like to speak this evening, you need to fill out this purple form, which is at the front of the room. I'm going to go ahead and ask everyone to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, rules of order for public comment at Governing Board meetings. The Governing Board welcomes public comment at its meetings by providing 2 opportunities for the public to address the board. If your topic of interest is not on the agenda, you may address the board during the public comments time slot near the beginning of the meeting. Or if the topic is on the agenda, you may speak just prior to the discussion of that agenda topic. In the event there's a public hearing, the opportunity to speak gets reopened. If you're joining remotely and wish to make public comment, you should have already submitted the Google form provided with the YouTube link. For those attending in person, please hand in the completed form request to address the Governing Board to our Board Secretary, Amy Sams. The information requested on the form is required for our meeting minutes. Speakers will be called on when it's their turn to address the board. For those attending remotely, you may choose to enable your camera. And as a reminder to remote attendees who wish to speak, please unmute your microphone when you're called upon. Each speaker will have 3 minutes this evening to address the board. The sound of a buzzer indicates the end of your minutes. In the event of a large number of speakers, the board may need to limit that time so they can conduct the business on the agenda. By law, the board cannot discuss, consider, or vote on topics that are not on the agenda. This assures the community that they're aware of the topics that will be discussed this evening. If you wish to discuss a topic through written communication, board members' contact information can be found on the district's website. We appreciate the community's attendance and comments at this meeting, and thank you for coming. All right. From there, we're going to go directly into our public comment section. We have 3 folks here in person, and it looks like we have 1 person online to comment. I'm going to start with the first person who turned in person, and then we'll go to the online comments, 4, and then we'll go with them in the order that they've been received in person. So I'm hoping that I'm not going to mispronounce your name, but I'd like to call Wenhao Dao to the podium. And again, 3 minutes, Amy.
Thank you. Wenhao, like 2 question words, Wenhao, Wenhao. And also every child in the Chinese immersion program can pronounce my name. Good evening. My name is Wenhao Diao. My child is a 1st grader at Sunrise Drive Elementary in its Chinese immersion program. We chose Sunrise Drive because of its Chinese immersion. And that is also why I'm here tonight. I'm a professor of Chinese and bilingual education at the University of Arizona. This year, the Chinese immersion program has been cut. Children in my child's grade are only receiving 1 hour of Chinese instruction a day, plus 2 more hours of Chinese culture a week, for a total of only 7 hours a week. This is a sharp cut from before, when half a day of instruction every day was conducted in Chinese. This, moreover, no longer meets the professional definition of language immersion. I'm very disappointed that this decision was made without consulting parents like us who have chosen Sunrise Drive for its Chinese immersion. We do not feel that our input was taken on board when this decision was made, even though every other Arizona district that has a thriving Chinese immersion program actively works with their parents. Dual language immersion improves students' academic performance and contributes to the high ranking that Sunrise Drive enjoys. As shown in your own school's data, children in the Chinese immersion program outperform their peers in the traditional curriculum in every single subject. I have prepared this information sheet, both sides, on these test performance results. I also provided comparative solutions that other Arizona school districts have adopted that offer Chinese immersion. I have already submitted to the board, and if possible, I would like to have this to be included in meeting minutes. I really hope that the district can work together with us parents to restore the integrity of the Chinese immersion program here. Thank you for listening to my concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go next to Christine Tardy, who is online. Christine, are you with us? Christine?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Great. Yes, we can hear you. I'm going to go ahead and have you start as well.
Okay. Good evening, and thank you so much for the opportunity to speak remotely this evening. Last May, my son completed 6 years in the incredible Mandarin immersion program at Sunrise Drive. Neither his dad nor I speak Chinese, and to my knowledge, he had never heard Mandarin before walking into his kindergarten room in August of 2018. But by the end of 5th grade, he had developed basic competence in Mandarin, the most widely spoken language in the world. And he had also gained so much more: a broader worldview, a tolerance for ambiguity, and a comfort with diverse perspectives and approaches to education. Now, I'm not just a proud parent of a Mandarin immersion student, I'm also a professor of second language acquisition and teaching at the University of Arizona. I chose the Mandarin immersion program for my son because I already knew about the many tremendous benefits of bilingualism. I already knew that kids who are enrolled in dual language programs have advantages in cognitive development and academic achievement, even when controlling for socioeconomic factors. I already knew that deep and regular exposure to another language benefits children's literacy development, even if that development may slow down at the beginning. I already knew that knowing more than one language increases one's economic opportunities, and I knew that we did not need to speak Chinese at home for my child to be successful in a Chinese immersion program. But many families are not aware of these facts. For several years, enrollment at the immersion program at Sunrise has been declining, but I strongly believe that we can do much more to reverse this trend. I want to encourage the district and the school to not give up on the Mandarin immersion program. I hope that families from the program can work with the district, with the program's administrators and teachers, current and former students, and experts at U of A. Working together, we can bring wider visibility to the program, answer prospective families' questions about Mandarin immersion education, and share research-based evidence of the value of such programs for our children and our community. It's well worth our efforts. Thank you.
Thank you.
That worked so well.
It really worked, yeah.
so well.
It was nice and smooth.
Great.
Absolutely. All right, our next speaker is Lucy Hornby, a district parent on Chinese immersion as well.
Hi, it's kind of the topic of the day today, isn't it? I have a 6th grader and an 8th grader at Orange Grove, and I'm here basically to support what some of the other parents have said. We moved to Tucson a year and a half ago, and we chose to move into the Sunrise Drive district specifically because of its Mandarin program. In fact, it was full, there was a wait list, and so we had to rent into the district to get into the program, even though rents here were higher than in other areas of Tucson. So we made that choice. I understand that a commitment to a foreign language program like this is a real commitment of resources, but I think it's one that truly pays off in terms of the academic excellence and the reputation of the school. At the 5th grade graduation last year, I was very impressed by the children's Chinese, and I noted that that was true of both the heritage children and the non-heritage children. So it's really a tribute to the program. From my perspective now as a middle school parent, the challenge for the district is maintaining that level of Chinese instruction at the middle school level rather than diluting it at the elementary school level. As you can see, there are many passionate parents on this issue, and I hope that their enthusiasm can be harnessed by the school board and by the school district to promote and strengthen the program rather than pulling back from it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You know what, I'm going to go ahead and take this next one on Chinese immersion since we're on that topic, and then we'll do the last one. Okay, our next commenter is Xiaochen Hu. If I said that correctly?
Yes,
Thank you for the phonetic spelling. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I didn't plan to speak, but seeing so many parents of kids from the Chinese immersion program, I decided to speak as well. So I have two children, Lillian sitting right there. She just finished the Chinese immersion Mandarin program at Sunrise and is at Orange Grove. And she is really a huge beneficiary of the immersion program. And I have a second child, Julian, who is in the 2nd grade, also at the Chinese immersion program. So today I wanted to talk about two things. One is the concern that enrolling kids in the Chinese immersion program would decrease their ability to learn English and math. And my colleague Wen Hao has shown, with the data released from the state, that this is not true, that kids from the Chinese immersion program at Sunrise actually do better on average with math and English than kids from non-Chinese immersion program. This is a very important fact. So particularly given that Principal Ms. Davison told me in person that because of this concern to address English language instruction, that there's a need to cut down Chinese instruction with the Chinese immersion program, and that simply is not true with regard to the Chinese immersion program at Sunrise. So the second question I wanted to share, actually experience, is that my son is having learning difficulties, and her teacher, who is of the Chinese immersion teacher, is doing a wonderful job of teaching him Chinese, math, English, as well as really a very individualized way of interacting with him that he feels effective and included in the class. So I just want to give a huge shout out to the Chinese immersion program staff who have been doing amazing jobs of really covering so many subjects with such a limited staff indeed. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you. And it looks like our last speaker this evening, Gabriel Manos. Am I saying that correctly? Close enough? Why don't you correct me? What is it?
Like plus and minus.
Why don't you correct me?
Minus. Like plus and minus.
Oh, minus. I'm sorry. I gotcha.
That's all right.
I don't recognize you, and
I know.
you're like incognito tonight.
So I just wanted to say thank you first to the board. Being able to speak with you in this capacity as a father. I have 3 kids that attend the high school. 2 are freshmen, they're twins, and then I have a senior. What I have seen so far, as being the wrestling coach as well, is seeing the security that we're taking serious at the school. I love the gates. I love the technology that we're using. One of the alarms went off and security was there. So I really wanted just to thank the board for taking security serious, not only at the school, but also here as well, seeing the technology that we're bringing in. We're kind of forward thinking, and I really love that, and I hope that we don't stop that. What I also wanted to say is that I think our staff does an amazing job here. Dr. Lambert did an amazing job today sending out not only to the parents, but working with the Sheriff's Department, making sure that, these people that were out there, exercising their First Amendment right, didn't step onto our property at the school. They made the proper notification, so kudos out to them for, working, great partnership. I've reached out to the district. I feel like I get hurt every single time. So as a parent, this is the best district. I think our board does an amazing job. But also, we do an amazing job with community schools. So I want to throw a shout out at whatever you guys do with them as well. I know we raised some good money this summer. We had about 41 kids attend the wrestling program through community schools. So I know without the board's approval to use the space there, we wouldn't have that possible. So I just came in here today to just say thank you for everything that you guys do as a parent, as a sheriff sergeant with the sheriff's department, and then just taking security super serious. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me just make sure we don't have anybody else who's shown up online. Nope, I still just have the one. That is going to then conclude our public comment section of this evening's meeting. Oh, nope, I'm sorry. One was hiding under my agenda. I have a Lillian Morath. I'm sorry, hon. Your piece of paper got stuck under a different piece of paper. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lillian. So I'm a student at Sunrise Drive Elementary School. And,
It's okay.
sorry.
It's all right. You're good. Take your time.
I think that Sunrise Drive is an absolutely great school.
Mom, do you want to come up with her?
It's just sad to hear that the Sunrise Drive Chinese immersion program has a somewhat uncertain future. So she just feels very emotional because she has such a wonderful time and she could not be the person she is without the Chinese immersion program.
So, I wanted to say something about Sunrise Drive. I think it's such a great school because of all the wonderful teachers that I've met. And,
Do you want to say who they are?
yeah.
What they taught you?
Well, in first grade I had Miss Lynn, which is, now she isn't not here anymore, which is sad. And then I had Miss Zhao, which was also my 5th grade teacher. And Miss Chen is my 4th grade, and another Miss Chen in my 3rd grade. I think they're all great teachers. Like, as my mom said, they all teach so many different subjects that the other teachers, they don't teach as much because we have rotations. And there are so many fun activities to do, such as the Chinese festival and the great graduation before we go to middle school. And I think the teachers are really nice there because they actually teach really well, and they have patience. So it's hard to teach another language. They can do it with patience. And so then I have learned to read and speak Chinese because of my teachers. And so did my friends. And it's really, I feel really sad that the Chinese immersion might close it down and just be gone. Because it's just such a nice place to be in, and such a nice, so nice teachers to learn from, and I really thank them, and I feel really happy that they're still there. And thank you.
Thank you, Lillian.
As Ms. Davidson always says at the FFO meetings, it's good to be at Sunrise.
Yes, it
Good
is.
sunrise.
Yes, it is. Okay, I have no more forms hiding behind my other forms, so I'm going to go ahead and close out the public comment section for this evening and thank all of our speakers for coming this evening. All right, let's move on to our consent agenda, which is item 3. Does anyone have anything that they are interested in pulling on the consent agenda this evening? Or any need for further discussion on the consent agenda this evening?
May I make a motion?
Please?
I move that the governing board approve consent agenda items 3.1, the governing board August 13th, 2024 regular meeting minutes as presented, 3.2, the expense voucher memorandum as presented, 3.3, the field trip request memorandum as presented, 3.4, the personnel memorandum as presented, and 3.5, the acceptance with gratitude of the gifts and donations memorandum as presented.
Second?
We have a motion and a second on the consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, everyone. All right, we're going to move on to item 4, which is our unfinished business from our prior meeting a couple of weeks ago. We're on item 4.1, which is the approval of revisions to policy BBBA, board member qualifications. This is the second reading and an action item.
Thank you. Senate Bill 1280 amended Arizona Revised Statutes 15-302 and 15-421 by adding language to the eligibility requirements for board members. After we did the first reading, there were no additional revisions recommended. Specifically, the language that is going to be added into the policy is, it's another qualification. It's that the person who is running for the board is not subject to registration as a sex offender in the state or any other jurisdiction. So the legal reference was also added to the bottom of the policy, 15-302, and then the new approval date were changed. Pretty straightforward language.
Very straightforward, simple change. Anyone have any comment or discussion on this policy change? And in the absence thereof, I'd be happy to entertain a motion.
I move the governing board approve the revisions to policy BBBA, board member qualifications as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the revisions to policy BBBA, board member qualifications. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Madam President,
Yes.
it's great to have the audience, but they may want to know that they're free to go if they wish.
All right, folks, do not feel like we are inviting you to leave, but we do want to let you all know that we know you come here for public comment. But we certainly understand if you have other plans for the evening and want to take an opportunity to exit the board meeting. We certainly are very happy if you guys stay till the end. We would love to have you, but just want to give you guys that, thank you, Gina.
Window.
The signal that it's okay if you need to leave to go ahead and leave.
Or want to leave.
Or want to leave, yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Item 4.2, the approval of revisions to policy and regulation JBF and JBF-R, open enrollment.
Yes, so this policy and regulation are presented for your consideration based on House Bill 2311, which amended ARS 15-816.01 for school districts by adding an additional student category to whom a school district may give enrollment preferences. So after the first reading of this policy on August 13th, there was one additional recommended change to the policy itself. Specifically, the word transfer on, I think it's on the third page of the policy under capacity was removed. It's just excess capacity to exist to accept pupils in general. Just removed that. On page 1 of the policy, paragraph 6, the ARS legal reference was added in place of this subsection. This was brought up in the first reading. The language "children of a member of the Armed Forces of the United States who either is on active duty or was killed in the line of duty may be given enrollment preferences" was added to the list of categories of children who may be given enrollment preferences. And that is on the 5th or 6th page of the policy. And then the legal reference was added under the list of legal references, and August 27th was added to the date of the policy adoption. So that's the policy part. Then the regulation part, there was no recommended revisions after our first reading. The change here was that we've eliminated the very detailed procedure for holding a lottery and added that there should be an equitable process in place, such as a randomized lottery for the applicant selection, giving districts more flexibility to use an electronic randomizer or something other than paper and numbering.
And so to be clear, we're not eliminating a lottery
No.
process, but we're just eliminating a very specific description of such process.
Correct, to give some flexibility.
Because nobody uses paper anymore.
If we don't have to,
We don't have
a
to.
randomizer is easier to use.
I know, that's the school jargon. Again, some fairly straightforward changes to these policies, but is there additional discussion or questions on any of these changes or other parts of these policies? Okay,
I move that the governing board approve revisions to policy and regulation JFB-R, open enrollment as presented.
Second.
we have a motion in 2 seconds. We'll go with Gina on this one. To approve the revisions to policy and regulation JFB-R, open enrollment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And our last old business item, 4.3, approval of revisions to policy and regulation JLCD and JLCD-R, medicines, administering medicines to students. Again, a second reading, and back to you, Dr. Bartlett.
Thank you. So House Bill 2174 amended several Arizona revised statutes regarding the ordering and emergency administration of glucagon for students with diabetes. A school district may now obtain a standing order for glucagon and store doses at individual schools where it can be administered by a specified individual to a student with diabetes in case of an emergency. So this requires some revision to both the regulation and the policy. Actually, the real changes were to the regulation, but in order to get our policy date changed, we made some changes to the policy as well. So after the first reading for the policy, there was one revision recommended. Under the seizure, training on seizure management plans, the word "R" was added to the last sentence. But other minor revisions were made to the policy. Under letter C, under self-administration, by students with limited circumstances, diabetes medical management plan was capitalized as it's a proper noun. And so all of that capitalization took place in here. We also added paragraph for inhalers under the emergency administration of medicines by trained employees. Was revised to remove the administration of to administering. And one thing you did ask me to bring back was who is the second person at the site who would be administering glucagon in an emergency. All of our clerks, the office clerks in our school offices are the second in command of the health office. So if the health assistant is out for some reason, it's our school office clerk that would do that.
Oh.
But we're also open to having volunteer diabetes care people as well. We just haven't had that in the past, so.
So they're not considered voluntary diabetes care assistants?
No, these are just people that are trained as school personnel. so they're
Okay.
not voluntary. We train them to be able to.
Part of their job
As
description.
part of their job description.
Great.
Correct. Under seizure management plans, again, the seizure management plan was capitalized, and then the approval date was set for August 27th, tonight, after this second reading. In the regulation then, after the first reading, there were 2 additional revisions that were recommended. Under administration by school personnel, letter F, number 2 and 4, we remove the word if at the beginning of those statements. And then the regulation had other revisions that we went over on the first reading, changing some language as far as, since I'll go through these since this is the major portion of the change. Under administration by school personnel, letter F, number 2, language was added for a Part B, which states the district has obtained glucagon pursuant to a standing order. So we had to add the A and the B. Under administration by school personnel, letter F, number 3, volunteer was changed to voluntary, and the administration of was revised to administering. Under administration of school personnel, letter F, number 5, the word must was removed, and include was changed to includes. Under administration of school personnel, letter F, number 7, was added to read, the school district may annually request a standing order for glucagon from an appropriately licensed health professional. And if a standing order obtained by a school may stock 1 or more doses of glucagon for emergency administration to a student by an appropriately licensed medical professional or a voluntary diabetes care assistant. And then a school may accept monetary donations, grants, or third-party programs to obtain glucagon. And I did confirm with our health nurse, with our district nurse, that we are going to obtain, we're going to try to obtain a standing order for any school that has students with diabetes. The other person, we also talked about, the teacher is also not trained, but is, has all of the information on the student that has diabetes in the class. So it's the teacher, the health assistant, usually the administration, and then usually the office clerk has that information so they can respond in an emergency. And then under administration by school personnel, letter F, number 8, was added to read, each employee or contractor of a school district that implements all or part of a diabetes medical management plan shall provide a written statement signed by an appropriately licensed healthcare professional that the employee or contractor has received proper training in administering glucagon. And this training is renewed annually. So each year, these people will go through that training.
And so is that the clerks, or is that also, is there annual training even for the health office?
For the health office as well.
well.
And then under administration by school personnel, letter F, number 7, it was changed to number 9, and the term health professionals and physician's assistants were added to those who were immune from civil liability. And then under administration of school personnel, letter F, number 9, the language including the training of voluntary diabetes care assistants was added. And self-administration, paragraph B, the words the disposal was revised to disposing. So lots of minor word changes, but also then adding in those 2 major portions for the glucagon.
Dr. Bartlett, in terms of rolling this out, it sounds like you've already taken some steps, but when would you expect to have the glucagon and have, have the standing order, have the product, have the staff trained, and it sounds like you've also already discussed this with all the different school sites are aware of it as well.
Well, I've talked to the district nurse. I've talked to the district nurse, and so she will be the one who is going to track and monitor all of this work. So I've asked her to devise a list of, all of the students that have diabetes, and then to begin working on getting a standing order for the glucagon. So that's where we're at right now. Once we receive those, the training is on as far as how to administer glucagon, because some kids had that
Already?
so they already had training on how
Yes.
to administer glucagon.
Yes.
So that training's already occurred. So it's just getting the standing order.
And I assume we would be doing standing order only for those schools that have children, because I would imagine that there's a shelf life for it.
Right.
Do we have something in place for new students who might join our district mid-year where we might be enrolling in a school that doesn't have the supply, but it's needed now? Do we have something in place for that?
We don't have anything specific. What I would imagine is going to happen is that we would be, that information comes in on their health record. So the district nurse would then inform this health assistant at that site and then move forward with the glucagon.
Oh, with parental knowledge.
Yes, of course.
That would be the only way we would know.
Right.
Right.
Well, we would know if their student had diabetes, but I'm referring to the parent would be aware that this procedure is
Yes.
available.
Anything else?
Ready for a motion?
Sure. If everybody's okay? Yep. Okay.
I move the governing board approve revisions to policy and regulation JLCD, JLCD-R, medicines administering medicines to students as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the approval of revisions to policy JLCD and the related regulation on medicines and administering medicines to students. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right, that takes care of our old business for the evening, so we will move on to item 5, which is our new business. Item 5.1, which is the superintendent's proposed performance goals for 2024-2025. This is a first reading, and we will turn it back over to Dr. Bartlett.
Thank you. So attached are the goals that are going to receive priority attention for the 24-25 school years. These goals constitute one piece of the superintendent's performance plan. There are additional responsibilities that are delineated in the job responsibility, of course. The goals are typically derived from our strategic plan, your feedback during the performance evaluation, and work that was started last year that needs to continue into this year, and then, of course, any Arizona legislation that affects changes to the operations of our district. And again, although these are referenced as the superintendent's goals, their accomplishment depends on our administrative team, the expert knowledge and leadership, and the collaborative efforts of our entire professional team. So the goals and action steps that I'm going to go over with you are a larger project-based items that support our strategic goals. Obviously, everything has to run through our strategic plan, but it has a direct connection to specific outcomes that we're trying to achieve. 3 basic outcomes that we're always working on are increasing student achievement and learning. That's the student piece. We're trying to improve teacher quality and employee retention. And of course, we're trying to grow in opportunities for engaging with the community, our students, parents, alumni, and the whole community at large. So those are kind of the outcomes for tying this to our strategic plan. So, of course, the first one is the listen and learn that was added. This is a new piece to the goals, obviously, as a priority for a new superintendent, myself. And this section was really added because the sessions are intended to hear feedback from stakeholders about their goals and expectations of the students and the staff and the community. The listen and learn sessions are also for me to identify strengths and improvement opportunities based on external perceptions and internal experiences of our faculty, and then to examine the current realities of the district and establish areas of priority for ensuring a quality education for each of these student. So those tie right back into the outcomes that we're hoping for from the goals. Increasing student achievement, improving teacher quality and employee retention, and those growth opportunities for engaging and communicating with our parents and alumni. So when I think about that first outcome, increasing learning and achievement, that really ties to the first 2 goals of our strategic plan. So when we're looking at reducing the gap between our current and desired student achievement as our first goal, which also has the academic achievement of literacy and numeracy in all academic content areas, and then developing knowledge and skills that transfer to college, career, and civic life. So that increasing student learning really ties to that reducing the gap. It also ties to the second goal, which is raising the engagement of our students so they are highly motivated to set and achieve increasingly challenging goals for deep learning. So going back then to looking at that reducing the gap, I can look at specific goals that we have, or action steps that we have set, and that for reducing the gap between current and desired student outcome, actions that are going to specifically address that strategic priority is monitoring and evaluating and monitor, evaluate, and support the implementation of the collaborative inquiry teams for school improvement. Okay, this is how our collaborative inquiry teams are based on teachers' desires and student needs for their classrooms. So they're working on problems of practice. They notice a student need, and they're going to address the need by, they're going to be learning some new strategies, they're going to be doing some research on new strategies, and the outcome is to increase student achievement in that. So the collaborative inquiry process is a big part of this strategic plan. Another goal is to identify achievement gaps and determine strategic actions to support growth in student learning. You know this year that we have a new position in the district, the coordinator of student data assessment and accountability. And a major portion of, well, the only portion of that, the full portion of that job is to work with principals on finding these achievement gaps in all different subgroups, in all different, not just the state achievement tests, but in our regular classrooms. So when we're looking at our district common assessments, or we're looking at just pass failure rates, we're looking at the achievement. So we're trying to identify those achievement gaps and then determine those strategic actions. And of course, that goes right to improving the student learning and achievement. Another goal that directly ties, I have them color-coded here, is to continue with the second year of the two-year process of the K-12 world languages. So in order for our students to have that acquisition of a second language, we're continually revising our curriculum. And this is the second year, Ms. Castro, the second year into the world language revisions, and this is the final portion of it? Okay. So, but it's going to directly tie to that student learning and achievement. And then another goal that directly ties to that is to monitor and support the implementation of the updated K-12 mathematics pathway to ensure that all students have access to mathematics at the appropriate rate and level of rigor. You know that this was a goal last year. We worked hard at revising some of that pathway for the math students. And so we're going to be monitoring that and collecting data on students and how they are achieving in their pathway to see if they are actually at the correct level of rigor. And then finally, investigate and analyze the impact of the Summer Credit Recovery Program on supporting on-time graduation for students. We're going to be looking at the impact and the participation rates and passing rates of our students in that credit recovery program, really basically from just before the pandemic through the pandemic, because we really found that it's been utilized more since the pandemic for that learning loss, and so we really want to analyze that rate. So we'll be looking at the metrics that are how our students are doing utilizing that summer credit recovery program. So, and obviously now the credit recovery program will be changing because ESSER was paying for that. So we want to see if that's something we need to look at to fund through the district, if that's something we need to do. So we need to look at that and look at the impact on the achievement of students. Then the next outcome that really ties into this is improving teacher quality and retention. So we are always, even though it's not a specific goal of our strategic plan, it's woven into that student achievement. You can't have student achievement without high teacher quality and a consistent workforce. So it really ties into that goal of student achievement. So the goals that have, or the action steps that we have set for this include implementing and evaluating the restructured Great Beginnings for Success. We've really delineated and differentiated for the different levels of teachers that are coming in. Teachers with experience coming with 20 years are going to get a different experience than teachers who are brand new or even alternatively certified, certificated. So we're really going to look at evaluating those structures and making revisions based on the feedback of those participants and based on the observations of our learning support specialists that do the coaching with those teachers. We're also going to be implementing the climate survey for the certified, and we're going to add a classified. If you remember last year, we added a classified retention survey. This year, we're going to add that classified climate survey as well to really gauge the working conditions that are valuable to our workforce, and that they find are working for them or what's not working for them in our climates at our sites. Another goal is part of this is the recruitment and retention of our teachers. We have to collaboratively work with our educational for ESI to monitor. Recruitment of and retention of teachers is directly tied to the job fair that we're going to hold, and we want to really look at how are we going to increase the diversity of our workforce so that we have a workforce that is similar to the students that we serve. So we're going to first analyze our current workforce, what is the diversity, and set goals for increasing that diversity. Again, substitute services, we have to have qualified substitutes, so we have to monitor those fill rates. We've already started a little bit behind the 8 ball for a few days this school year already, so the fill rates are really important. Not only just to have a body, but to have a qualified teacher to continue the education. That's why it goes under that increasing that learning and achievement. And then, of course, we have a goal under discipline. So we want to study the disciplinary actions and analyze them for their consequences, including subgroup populations and the disposition. We want to see if we're doing everything we can. We want to keep our students in school. And so we want to, obviously, behavior management and discipline is a part of the everyday life at a school, and it impacts students' availability for learning and achievement. So we want to study that and determine if other options need to occur. Ms. Westover, if you want to expand on that?
Yeah, we're looking at potentially expanding some of our alternative to suspension programs and how we might be able to expand some of the services we offer kids and some of the dispositions that we have available, as well as looking at consistency of particular disciplines and how they are impacting future offenses. So, are the things that we're doing actually producing a change in behavior, which is what we want with discipline? So looking into the data a little further, making sure really that we are consistently listing those things into our student discipline code. So are we listing all the offenses the same, and making sure that our administrative staff is being consistent with the way they're doing discipline practices? And then again, I think a huge one will be trying to increase those opportunities that administrators have to not suspend, but what else can we do to help these students?
So then the second goal that we have in our strategic plan is raising the engagement of students. And so there's some specific actions that are outlined in the goals that directly relate to that. One is to implement and evaluate the restructured Great Beginnings program again, because that really ties to that student engagement. How do we get our new teachers to engage students appropriately at the appropriate level of rigor. So it kind of that goal kind of fits, or that action step fits in 2 different areas that we're working on. Support teachers in the implementing shifts in their instructional practice for 3 disciplines that have recently undergone curriculum revision. And again, when we revise our curriculum, it's to engage the students, and then the engagement promotes that achievement and learning. So that's under that. And then we're going to monitor and support year 1 implementation of the Catalina Foothills High School career and college and career counseling program. Again, that was a program that was redesigned and designed and implemented for the start of this school year. We're going to be monitoring the number of events, the types of events that are open to students, and the participation rates, and how we're increasing our connection with our students into their life post-graduation, and how we're assisting them with that. The final outcome is the growth in opportunities for engaging and communicating with parents, alumni, and the community. So the last goal of our, the third goal of our strategic plan speaks specifically to that: partner with families and community to achieve our strategic priorities. So underneath this, some specific actions that are within the goals is to foster and maintain strong relationships with CFSD parents, alumni, and community members, engineer communication strategies that build awareness, foster understanding, and inspire action, and then highlight and communicate CFSD achievements to the broader community. And of course, under each of those, there were some specific action steps. So we're trying to bridge the outcomes that we have, the 3 outcomes with our strategic plan, and to really focus on that student achievement and learning, the teacher quality and retention, and then connecting and engaging with the community. So. Any specific questions about goals or?
So I have a question about timing and all of these. I think a lot of the things that you mentioned happen simultaneously because there's lots of different people working on different pieces.
Correct.
For the listen and learn sessions, for example, when do you have an idea? Do you have where are you in that piece? In terms of, do you have a facilitator? Are those getting scheduled?
Yes.
And when will the board be hearing back?
Yes, we have been working since, well, May actually on this. Yep. So we do have a facilitator. Her name is Tracy Benson. She's working with the Waters Foundation, or it's Waters Center for Excellence. And we have met with her several times. We are ready to begin the Listen and Learn on September 9th.
That'll be the first one.
That's the first one, yes. So we will have those from September 9th through September 17th or 18th. And then there will be a period of time where she's going to take all of the data, pull it, and put it into a report. And once we have the report, then we'll be able to determine what are those strengths and opportunities for improvement. So I would say late October, mid-October, late October, probably for the report and to be completed.
So it sounds like the sessions themselves will be done by mid to late September.
Yes, correct. And we have sessions at every site, including MAC, and then we have 2 parents sessions, one during the day and one in the evening.
You mean across the district?
Across the district.
Any parent?
We're going to be randomly selecting, but then we are also going to be putting out those same questions in a survey for anybody to answer.
Okay.
So because we have limited time and space, but anyone can go on and answer the questions and provide input. So.
I'd just like to commend you for the presentation tonight. There are, I don't know how many pages there, and I appreciate how you laddered that up to the top 3 goals. And I think that's with a very clear, I was going to say story, but that could be the wrong word, a very clear record, of what you're out to achieve, and you and your staff and your team. You have a fantastic team to do that. So thank you for putting that work into the presentation. I think that's a really important aspect to ensure that we're all on the same page. So out of the simplification of so much complexity, right? And in writing, we always say it's harder to write shorter, right? It's hard to write fewer words than more words, right? So I think this is a similar example there. So again, just to thank you for the extra work that you put into the presentation tonight.
Questions, folks? I have some. I'm just wanting everyone to go first. Well, in the lull, I'll go ahead. So Denise, in what section is this in? It's hard to see all in here. It is in, it's under the strategic plan, and it is at page 5, actually. It's a very long goal. It says, evaluate and update existing systems for self-reporting data to the Arizona Department of Education, such as the College and Career Readiness Indicator, to maximize criteria ADE utilizes in determining school A through F letter grades. I have to be honest, I don't understand that, and I was hoping you could elaborate on that for me.
So the CCRI is that College and Career Readiness Indicator, is something that the high school, it's used in the high school calculation of their A through F. The system for collecting that needs improvement. And so the new coordinator for student assessment, data, and accountability is going to be working directly with that high school counseling system. He actually found some errors this year already. So we really have to center in on that so that we get all the maximum points for the college and career readiness points.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but my recollection is that
they didn't give us our points
they
last
didn't give
year,
it,
which
yeah.
is why we were originally
And it was
did not
Dr.
get-
Connery who found them. I mean, you were providing data back to
Correct.
them. Yes. Okay, so that's what this
So
grew
that's
out
what
of.
this is.
Okay.
Okay,
Specifically for that.
Yeah.
thank you. And then I would, on page 8 of the 15 pages of goals here, on substitute services, and I certainly appreciate us watching this expense category and making sure that we have a good fill rate and that we have quality substitutes in our positions. I would actually kind of like to see this goal expand into more creative ways or ideas on how we reduce the need for the substitutes to begin with. And I know that this is a really tough nut to crack, and you've already recommended some pretty creative, at least one creative change that we could make and did make toward the end of last year. But I don't want to lose sight of that, because this is an expensive prospect for us in terms of absorbing into our budget. And I'd like to see that goal, and I don't know if people agree with me, to be expanded such that we don't lose sight of that piece of it, if that makes sense.
Which actually also ties into the student achievement piece, because I assume the more of our teachers that are in their classrooms teaching our kids,
Correct.
the more our students are going to learn rather than having substitutes.
Yeah, makes all the difference. Absolutely.
Yes.
Same coin.
We'll talk about that and bring back.
And I am now back in Alumni and Community Relations. And it is on page 13, under Cultivate Positive and Collaborative Relationships. Represent CFSD with integrity by participating in stakeholder meetings with a commitment to faithfully representing CFSD's interests and values. And I'm wondering, are you talking about what kind of stakeholder meetings and interactions here are you referring to here?
Yeah, I'm gonna let
Julie?
Julie Fairbarrett come on up to the
Come on
up
down,
to the podium.
Julie.
She can speak. Yeah, to the podium.
Anywhere you want.
Anywhere you want.
When I wrote that, I was thinking about our foundation meetings that we go to every month, and our FFO meetings and our DFFO meeting, as well as we may have meetings I haven't yet anticipated. So all of the many community meetings that happen on a regular basis here in CFSD.
Yeah, you know, and that's really important, I think, at those kinds of meetings, to give people the right information. There is FFO meetings, and I know you can't possibly be at every FFO meeting, but certainly the DFO, well, certainly the DFFO meetings where hopefully if there's any misinformation or not even talking about misinformation, but just information that needs to get out to our community, it's, you know, because as I go to these meetings, and every once in a while I hear somebody say something, I just go, oh my goodness, you know.
That's not right.
Yeah, that's an important part of it, and I think us listening, and we don't always know the answer to the question, but to be able to research it, and then Denise and I get back to the stakeholders with the right information. I always think that's such a valuable trust-building process. And I think CFSD has an excellent history of doing this, and so we just have to keep doing it.
Does this goal contemplate going outside of our CFSD family of meetings and into the community at all?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of opportunities there. I would love to explore HOA meetings, realtor, employee groups, you know, things that get us into that connective fiber of our community, you know, so we're really reaching our constituents as well as our families and other stakeholders here.
Good, so we are contemplating that because I think that is important.
Yeah.
Very definitely.
And we're setting up communication tools in order to do that through Parent Square. It's enabling us to set up these community groups so we can collect information and, you know, email addresses for people who are interested in CFSD and want to follow CFSD, and then it gives us another way to connect and communicate.
Another way
with
into
them.
the community
Yeah,
to engender
exactly.
that support. That's great. That's great. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry to put you on the spot this evening. You probably weren't planning on presenting this evening. Let's see. I think I've gotten to the end of my comments and questions. Anybody else?
I'm thinking about this new position we have in terms of zeroing in on our test results and giving the teachers feedback. It's one thing I have to admit has always driven me crazy. As a student, as a parent, and now as a grandparent, is something gets done and the student doesn't get an answer for it. You don't know whether you got it right or wrong for a while. And in some cases, you never know. And that's just, and so the teacher never has, well, first of all, doesn't even have the responsibility to make any corrections of what may have happened and may never know. But this seems like a really big task. We have a lot of teachers, and I'm trying to wrap my head around how this will.
He's working directly with the administrators,
Okay.
and they're telling him what are some of the data sets that they would like to work with their teachers. And he's pulling that data from either our Synergy system, from the state assessment system. He is culling that so that it's in a very workable format for then the principals to take back to the teachers. So he's not working with every single teacher.
Okay.
He's really pulling it for the principals and for us, the data that we want to have our teachers look at and have them analyzing for implementing with their students.
Okay, so the teacher still then needs to know how to analyze.
And that's what the principals are doing with them, yes.
And can it flow the other way too? A principal can contact him or you or someone and
That's
say,
how, yes,
oh, okay.
that's how it is happening,
Okay.
yeah. So we've pushed out data that we know they need, and then individual principals are contacting, hey, could we get some data on this? Could you pull the student, the scores for last year failure rates in math? I'm just making an example of that. I don't know if that's what they were asking for, but can you pull that data and can we analyze that? So he's able to pull that easily and get that into a workable spreadsheet that's easy for them to understand and manipulate, for them to then disaggregate it and work with their teachers on it.
Is this all academic data?
Right now, yes. Mhm. Because it's really about student assessment and accountability. We're really trying to get that piece, looking at subgroups, looking at intervention for students, looking at where they need extra help, and providing that at the point of need.
I wonder if there might be the opportunity at a future board meeting for Kim.
Yes, we've talked about
For him to
this.
potentially come and share a use case with us.
Yes, he will be, he is going to be the author of the assessment report, and what I've talked with him about already is that we'd like to break that into smaller segments and have multiple segments rather than just one big regurgitation of all the data. We'd like to really hone in on specific data sets and the implications for those. So there'll be several of those coming forward, yes.
Great. Anybody else? No, it's a first reading. It'll
It's a
come back
first-
to us. It'll come back to us in 2 weeks for us to review, so you'll have more time to study it. If there's no other discussion regarding the superintendent's performance goals for this evening, I'll go ahead and close out this item, and we can move on then to discussion and reports. 6.1, Arizona legislative and governmental activity. Anybody have anything they want to chime in here? Things are quiet.
We'll hear lots about it next week at our,
Yes.
at the
Yes.
law
The law
conference.
At the law conference for the School Board
Legislative
Association.
updates will be there, and they'll probably be commenting on what's to come.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Anything on future agenda considerations?
Well, but, you know, I mean, with an election coming up, it's going to be interesting until after, I mean, it's going to maybe be a little hard to judge until after the election. So.
You mean what the legislature might be doing?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I mean,
Right.
you know.
Do we know
Yeah,
what
of
the
course.
legislature's going
Right.
to look like?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yep.
Now they're quiet.
Yeah. Always a good thing.
And that's fine. Future agenda considerations, anything? Gina and I will handle agenda planning tomorrow at 9 o'clock, both remote. But anyone want to bring anything up here? And if not, is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I so move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on adjournment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion 5-0. Thank you, everyone. Good meeting. Denise, thanks for all the reporting.